Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this time and for both doing these talks on boundaries, self-love, self-care. I think it's huge, and it's been such a pleasure to work with you. And thank you so much for joining the Dream Share practicum that I did. Your input, I think both your online presence and your input in the discussions we've had and the practicum, I think brings a lot to the table. So thank you
Well,
for all
thank
you
you.
do.
Well, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And thank you for this too, because I think dreams is a very important part of everything. And I think it gets looked over so much. And so I'm glad that you're getting deeper into this, and we're going to go over that today.
Yeah, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Uh, because it's very interesting once like a talk gets on the table or a new project gets on the table, like so much more comes through. It's like spirit says, okay, you're ready, let me help you out. uh,
Absolutely. I mean, I'm starting to feel so connected, like you're even getting answers sometimes just in your meditation, and they even connect into the dream. And so sometimes I'm like, when I'm describing something to someone, it's like, was that the part of the dream or was that part of the meditation? It's starting to cross over for me, but there's a definite message that's you're receiving, and that's really interesting. And I think if everybody could get to that place, it would be beautiful.
it definitely would. And I do hope some of the things that we share today will help. And I'm going to focus a little bit more on my experience, not as the examples, because
Hmm.
rather than looking at books, we've both read lots of books and had teachers, and that's been a beautiful part of growth. But I think all your teaching and what your dreams teach you, it's about you. It's unique and relative to you. So how you learn that dialogue with spirit, how you learn to interpret your dreams and take care of yourself is all your own journey, and it's in your hands. Like it's all up to you. So I hope that these examples help, and that this experience helps.
Yeah, I
But
feel like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Oh no, I
no,
was just
no.
gonna say, I feel like interpreting your dreams is somewhat like you're going underwater to find like some kind of hidden treasure, and you kind of know it's there, and it's really a treasure once you find it, but it's kind of hard to locate because it's so dark down there and you can't really see. So I feel like it's kind of like the same kind of journey where you're getting like a flash. You should go down there, and what's there is literally a treasure. I feel like if you understand your dreams, it can save you like a year of therapy too. I mean, it really, really, I mean, for me, it has been. And I can tell you for sure that in my life, all my big points of change, there has been a dream that connects that point.
Beautiful, beautiful. Uh, that's huge. Um, okay, so while I did say I don't want to talk too much about like other concepts or like key terms, but there is one that I do think is important, is day residue. So that's kind of like the drama of your day playing out in your dream. And to me, this is no different than like projection when you're talking to another human being, or transference when you're looking at professional ethics. So it's like you taking your trash out in a situation rather than doing your self-care to clear that out. So
Mhm.
for me, this means that you need self-care, you need good sleep hygiene, and you need to maintain yourself on a day-to-day level to, like you said, get to those deeper places within yourself. Because if you're not doing that routine maintenance, you're not going to get any deeper. You're going to stay on the surface. Just your dreams are going to keep cleaning house for you on a
Mhm.
surface level rather than getting deeper, like you've mentioned. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like unless you really pay attention right when you wake up, it just kind of flitters away. And so I feel that, I don't know, a lot of people may do different things. I personally don't journal anymore. I used to, but I felt like it was, I don't know, it just took too long for me. So now what do I just tape my voice on the notes on my phone, or I just say it in my head again and again and again, and then I'll fall back asleep because sometimes it's in that
mm,
middle state of where it came, and you have to go back to sleep still, and you're going to forget. So I try to repeat. And then I'm like, because it was really powerful. And then I'll, and I'll remember it. I'll remember it that way.
Beautiful. And I do think that 4 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning time is so crucial to your growth. And I have gotten up at weird hours and journaled or been like, oh, I have to draw this picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Some are scary. I noticed at 3. I've had a couple really scary ones. And also I've had a lot of people come to me about ones happening around 3 a.m. too, which I feel could be like a whole nother little dimensional thing coming around that time. So
Yes, we definitely, that's a whole nother talk.
that's a whole nother talk.
Yeah. So I think you made a good point about paying attention. I really think that your dreams are this dialogue and that it can go both ways. And really how you interpret it is up to you. And I think a lot of times dreams can be a warning sign to like slow down, take care of yourself. This needs attention. And without your attention or intention, you can miss that. If you had asked me years ago if I dreamed, I would have told you no. And I didn't remember my dreams. I knew nothing about spiritual care, sleep hygiene, none of that. It's only by default that I stepped into that. I used to get these major headaches. I would wake up with jaw aches because I grinded my teeth at night. And it wasn't until I started like taking those warning signs to take care of myself that I was able to go deeper. As far as the dream world, I would pay attention when something really caught my attention because I rarely remembered my dreams. I just didn't work with them at all. But I remember this one dream and it was at night and all I could see was like the lights from like a car accident, like fire rescue. And it was on a road that I traveled at night. I used to bartend. So I would drive that road late at night. And then after I had that dream, I started changing my route. So at night I would go one way and during the day I would go a different way until I saw fire marks on the road right where I had my dream. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I paid attention.
Right.
Because I don't know what would have happened, but that was how I interpreted, how I made a change and adjustment. But it's really up to you, how you see that dream, how you see those signals, how you interpret that dialogue, what you do with it.
Yeah, a lot of it I feel too isn't just symbol. It's literally like when you wake up, how did you feel? You know, what kind of colors were in it? Because sometimes it could be also changing your mind about some kind of idea that you had, and it's taking you in a more distant place so you don't feel as strongly about that one thing. And sometimes it is totally prophecy dreams, like the ones you have, you know, you were talking about. I actually love prophecy dreams. Those are my favorite. But I don't get them I get them here and there, but I don't think there's a way to just get prophecy dreams.
I agree. Yes and no. And I feel like that's where like the two-way street comes in, like dream as a dialogue. Like to me, I feel like you can make a dream request or you can clear or ask for healing. You can ask for guidance. So before going to bed, like after you've done like your meditation, your to your teeth, all that stuff that you do at that night before I lay down, I actually say this prayer. I ask for requests for healing or clarity on a situation. And then I think it's up to me to just be open to what that is, because I think it's how you ask and how you're like have this tunnel vision like makes a huge difference in how you both interpret and how you receive the information. And most recently, I've had just this really intense dream. I asked for clearing. Like I had this inner dialogue, like that I finally had this new awareness to in my day. And I finally was like, okay, spirit, please, I'm ready. Like, I don't need to hold on to this coping mechanism. I don't need to protect myself in this way. Take it. I have to say that was a frightening dream. I don't get scary dreams very often, but I was lucid enough to kind of step back and know that's what was happening. I'm like, oh, they're giving me what I asked for. Like, and I woke the next morning just feeling like, what is this skin I'm in? What's going on between my ears? This is a whole new world right now. And I felt very vulnerable. So I do agree with you that how you feel makes a huge difference in paying attention to those layers of feelings. So it's not always the analytical. I have a tendency to stay.
And when you're more lucid, I feel like that means you're also more in control. So it's giving you like a control over the situation that you may have not thought you had any control over in the past. I always like to pay attention to who I was in the dream. Like if I could move things, like I've literally had dreams where some bad guy is going to come get me and I'm like, I'm invisible. He can't see me. And I'm invisible. And I'm like, awesome. Right. So when you have like those kind of dreams, even though there's like a bad guy trying to get you, like a subconscious kind of like thing that's, kind of like a running negative. And if you have that power to play with that scenario, I think it gives you almost, it's fun actually. It turns it into like a fun kind of traveling that you're doing.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like the idea of empowerment of like you get to choose how you interpret it, but I forget about that other piece that you really have control in your dream. Because when you're a kid, what happens? I had a nightmare. What do I do? And you get to go like climb your mom and dad's bed, get a drink of water or something, whatever it is, to like protect you. But really, it's like, oh, you get to do what you want in there. This is your world.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like I've come to places where you feel out of control. A lot of people often get the falling dream or the wave coming on them dream or a car accident dream when you're feeling kind of out of control, right? But then I've also had those car accident dreams and like got out and been like, oh, I'm fine, and so it really depends on what exactly is happening. And I know people say you can't die in your dream, but I have died in my dream and been fine. And I was like, okay, I literally should be dead now. And so I kind of, that's the reason I don't look at, like we've read a lot of books and, there's a lot of people who say this symbol means this symbol means that, but it really depends on the person who is interpreting it, for them to be able to really figure out what's going on with them.
I think, and about the dying dream, how I've interpreted that when having discussions with other people, and it's easy for me because I'm looking at a situation, I'm not in those feelings, that I think of it like the ego death. Like, it's like that skin shedding from the snake, and like, you're letting one side of yourself go. You're like, you're unraveling that lotus. Like,
you're like, I didn't need that car anyways.
Right. You're stepping up. Something else is happening. I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think it's really all interesting. Especially I've started to now think of dreams as kind of like astral travel. Like our souls are travelers and our souls are like really, who knows where we're going, right? And so maybe these places are another dimension, who knows where we're going. And it can be literally, who knows if this place is literally a video game in itself, right? So we don't even know where the Matrix stops and starts or what's real and what's not real. So these dreams can literally be maybe more real than this world in a way,
Beautiful. I very well said. I'm like, okay, we can just stop there. I think you just summed it all up.
This is just one of those things, and I don't know if I know you do tarot too, right? So
yeah.
For me, when I do the Celtic cross, for those of you who don't know it, it's just like a line that looks like a cross and 4 cards on the right, or your right. And there's a future card at the end, and there's a subconscious card down at the bottom of the cross. And for me, when I do a reading, I don't look at the future card. To me, that's as good as nothing. I look at the subconscious card because the subconscious card will always outrule what people think consciously. And that's why I think it's so important for us to learn how to interpret these dreams, because we're just a running program, unconscious program, without us really paying attention to what's happening underneath.
Definitely. And that's interesting you said that, because I went on a long hike. Well, I don't even want to call it a hike. I walked. It was a stroll. But it came to me that it's like we're all given this like program, like this download of like, here's your starting point. This is your home base. Now, what are you going to do with it? Like, this is the mental framework. This is the scenario you're around. step up, what are you going to do? Are you going to repeat or are you going to go deeper like you're saying?
And people people really have that repeat thing
yeah,
going on. Yes.
yeah, definitely.
I really feel until you can become conscious of your subconscious, like we are a running program, and they will continue to go. What is that movie with Bruce Willis? Where he the 12 Monkeys. It's 12 Monkeys. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that one.
So in that movie, when I was really young, I used to get scared because that's what's happening to him. Is life is on repeat, and each time he has to do something different that he's not completing. And I just did not like that. I was like, oh my God, what if that's like real life? And the more and more I study into these metaphysics, I see life literally is like that. And since I do astrology, I feel like our signs are half a gift and they're half our running program. So I can say, hey, I'm Melissa, I'm tough, I do this, and all these Aries things. I can yell at this person because I'm an Aries, whatever. But until we actually step out of that program, we don't really actually have a choice. So that's where kind of I think prophecy comes in too. Is like if somebody knew me and they said, "Hey, would she jump out of an airplane with a parachute?" And most people would probably say, yeah, she's risky. I think so. She would. If you dared her to do it, she'd do it. But then again, that becomes, if somebody can guess you're going to do that, it's a program. So it's like the place of where you can actually move that difference of how you always habitually act is the place of choice, I think.
Definitely. And each moment, each aha is that opportunity. It always feels like it's like that crossroads hangman energy is again, what are you going to do with this? And it's easy for me to say because, we all have our pitfalls. But I think too, it's interesting what you said about if people can decide for you. And it's almost like there's two levels of the ego. There's that undercurrent of either shame or blame or that history that kind of tugs you down and says you can't do this, and then there's that other ego facade on top that says this is my box I live into. And again, it's all under in this dream world of how you process it all. So exploring patterns basically is what I think we're talking about, and I think those patterns highlight in both our dreams, and I think people around us become our mirrors. They're like, why am I having this reaction? Why am I having this emotional response? What's really happening here? Where is my opportunity for growth? And it doesn't always look pretty, or where's that dream telling me all the things that I'm ignoring? Where's that dream telling me the lies that I'm telling myself about my own feelings? Dreams are there going, wake up.
Yeah. Or no, stay asleep. So I can tell you.
Definitely. So
yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that.
So I think either way you're looking at it, I think it's just comes back to that same thing as what are your dreams teaching you and how can you allow yourself to be a little more teachable, which again, that's easier said than done. As an Aries too, I put up a fight. Oh my gosh, I fought my guides. Oh, I was thinking about that on my way here today. I was just fought even my own intuition. I'm like, why do you do that? And I think part of it is the process of breaking that mold and that comfort zone and staying in that cycle, because that's what feels safe, because it's all no different than a codependency. It's like this emotion, this box, the cycle.
So that you could repeat again.
Yeah. I love how you said that. Here, go ahead with yourself. Repeat yourself. See how that works.
Somebody told me the other day, because I have a tendency, I'm in this middle space of, this world kind of sucks, but we should try to all enlighten, we should try to, enlighten ourselves mainly. We should, and then, if we can help other people at the same time, that's good too. But who knows if this world is really going to exist? Maybe there'll be another world. And, so I'm in this place of where I'm ready to let go somewhat. And then I'm also in this other place of how much hope can we have for this place? So as somebody said, because some people just focus on later instead of now, being in the presence of now. So I kind of see both of them. And he said, there's nothing better that you can do for yourself than to get out of this incarnation, because your soul is going on repeat literally until you elevate, right? So, I mean, and what happens, I mean, that could be very matrixy too. Like what is happening to our souls while we're here? Who knows? We don't know. So he said, just learn that as much as you can. Cause I try to be like, oh, I'm happy in the present. Like, COVID has actually helped me a lot. I work from home now. I have a lot of extra time and I'm enjoying it. And so I'm trying to look at the positives, but then sometimes I forget to look at, well, I also have to do this work to not come back here every time too,
I do think the work right now is so important. I really feel like we're evolving as a species, and that like whether it's you shining your light or someone doing my self-care, however it manifests, how important it is right here, right now as a collective, especially with all these other layers that feel really, really heavy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think there's a lot of potential here to stay positive, to attract positive energy, to shine light. And as far as souls traveling, you've been doing a lot of like traveling in your dreams, haven't you? Or proactively?
Yeah, that's one thing I can share is oh God, it's so amazing though. Before I even start, to say it's worth it. I've always had the astral travel books, never picked them up. Like, I'm not ready for that yet. And now that I've gotten good at meditation, I've been actually I meditate every morning and I meditate every evening. And it's kind of a sensing. I don't know if it's like my actual like body coming out, but you actually have these real experiences. And one of the things I've noticed that helped me the most is to go with a guide. I have taken several types of classes before. I've done the Akashic readings, I've done medium classes, I've done just traveling classes, and they haven't sunk down as much as they are now. And I think that one of the real big keys is to take one of your guide with you, and your guide will kind of like pop in. I don't know if you've worked with this. It's more like the third eye sensing type of thing, where you are actually traveling, and this guide, before you even think about him, he'll like pop in, or whatever it may be. It could be an animal, it can be he, she, an alien, whatever it is. It's like a guide. And I've noticed for me, it doesn't always have to be this for everybody, but you might have one that always comes to see you. You might get different ones on different journeys. But that's helped me a lot with my dreams. So, and it's changing my life. Like literally I'll have a request at night. And I mean, even with money, like, I mean, I didn't even ask for that. I'll just be like, I'd like to be successful with my side business because that's the thing that helps people. And I'll get literally the next day, after traveling with a guide or asking for a request during a mediumship type of a journey, and like stuff happens literally the next day. So I really feel not only does it help you in your dreams, but it helps you in reality too. It's almost like another way to manifest.
Totally. I can see that. I think for me lately, it's been more on healing journey, as far as like clearing some of the patterns. I talked a little bit about that internal dialogue, and then recently something similar kind of showed up in my dream that was related to that. I want to say, like, I didn't realize I had a phobia, but I clearly had a phobia of guns from certain situations that I've been in. And I'm not talking like target practice. I'm talking parties or domestic issues. And I had a dream I think it was just last week about that. This is interesting because it wasn't a guide, it was a friend that I communicate with. I could feel her presence, and all of a sudden I felt safe, and the dream progressed, and that fear just kind of dissipated, like that whole scenario that was playing out in the dream. And so the next morning I text her and I was like, thanks for saving my life in my dream. And she was like, she texted me back, and I'm so grateful that she's open to be able to talk like this. She was like, that's funny because in my dream, I was saving or helping someone who was scared of spiders. And that's when I put together the phobia part, because I hadn't put that together. And I was just like, you can't make that up. So clearly I'm just grateful she stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, that's interesting how it like connected you two at the same time too. And then spiders can mean anything too. I mean, I've felt like when I've seen spiders in my dreams, they've almost symbolized like past shadow, dark, like kind of things you can get stuck in the web with, you know, like kind of held back because you're stuck there, you know?
Like I said that because I think someone had a conversation with spiders and dreams with someone else, and they have the same kind of feeling about spiders, that is more on that like scary end, or like, and
well, no, like more like past, like it's more like past issue. Like it can just mean like something darker. And this had happened to be one of my ex-boyfriends. I dreamt there was a big spider web behind him, and he was a horrible guy. He ended up being a horrible guy. So I think that was showing me like his darker sides.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So see, different people have different experiences with the same symbol. And that's like one of the things I want to talk about, just that, you know?
Yeah. And I definitely think it's huge. When I was doing the practicum, which you know you went through with me, so I do appreciate that. And for me, I feel like anytime someone brings me a dream, I have more questions than to tell you, because I don't think Google has the answer. Google and a book doesn't have the answer. That might be some avenue to look up and be like, this dream symbol means X, Y, and Z according to this individual, this theory of, school of thought. But that it's all relative to your own experience and your own interpretation. No different than how your guides learn to communicate with you. You have to learn how are you going to communicate? What language are you going to use? So great segue there.
I have a few dreams I can share with you if you want to hear one.
Yes,
of course. Or unless you want to go over something. Okay, I just want to talk about this dream to me is very, very important, because I was super depressed when I was 21, which kind of led me to do what I do now. So it was kind of good that I got depressed, but I was very depressed from about 21 through 23, 24 even. And it was a dream of Jurassic Park was out. I don't know. You remember the raptors? Okay, so the raptors. So you know how they say like lizards have something to do with like kind of scariness and fears, whatever. But for me, I mean, they were scary. But for me, I was stuck in school, and I hated school my whole life. I was just like, can't wait till I get out of this place. So to me, I was like stuck in this place that I couldn't stand, gated up in this place, and everything outside was beautiful and green and sunny, and I wanted to go outside and play, but I couldn't, because these raptors were circling the fence of the school. So that to me was a symbol of me being stuck in depression, being bored and stuck, and yet fearful of these things that were keeping me locked up inside this place, right? And it was a sense than anything, even more than fear, was boredom. Like, I'm bored of being depressed. I want to go out and enjoy my life. And in the dream, it was just so empowering. I finally was like, screw it. And I opened the gate, and the raptor came into my face, and I punched him in the face. And I woke up. And that was the first day that I started stepping out of depression.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing both your dream and your inspiration, because I feel like we all come to the table having overcome something, and we're going to be like, let's lead the way for like the hermit card, just kind of like guiding the light, hoping that it serves others.
And I still have that in a dream journal, because I was just like, oh my God. That one was intense.
Yeah. And I do appreciate too that you have a little bit more experience with dream journaling than I do. You've been doing this 4 more years than I have, but I do agree with you as far as like first thing in the morning to write down what happens or what comes comes
Mm-hmm.
through in order to take that next step to interpret and learn from it. I do find that even if I like go to the kitchen sink and wash the dishes and then try to sit down, I could lose some of the information. Like I literally
Yeah.
have to, like, I don't know how you do, but for me, I just like list the things that show my dream like as quick as possible. And then I work into the story, and then I work into interpreting, to kind of take it layered so that at first I can just kind of get out what comes out. How about you? What other
I
ways are
mean,
you?
for me, I don't feel like I need to figure it out so much. I kind of know when I wake up, like, oh my God, that was about this. Like, I can even share one last night, which I think is a mixture of a dream residue mixed with a deeper issue.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I saw my dad yesterday. I haven't seen him since COVID started. So this is back like in March. And I saw him, he started asking me about my sister. And I started just being like, oh yeah, she's so lame. Like, she, you know, like she's with this, you know, God, she's basically like held in this, I call it a cult, which I actually took this class too about ego work, but like literally how long do you have to stay in a class? It's like 10 years now she's in the same class, and now she's dating the professor. So I kind of was like, it's kind of weird. And then she never comes to visit us anymore. She's like just all off with him, right? So that came into my dream. I heard, like in my dream was like the day residue with my dad talking about that. It's how I really felt about that, which I literally said the exact real thing in my dream. And they were supposedly getting married in my dream. And I was like, I can't believe you're getting married. I was mad. I was really mad. And so I think that was like a part of it. But then it connected me back into when I was in 13, 14, when I went to church and I was told that this is the way you're supposed to grow up. You're supposed to find a guy and get married and live happily ever after. And I was with those same people from when I was a kid that symbolized to me your typical family. And I had wanted nothing to do with it. And I even was mad at them in my dream, like, how dare you tell us that this is the way things are supposed to be? And to me, those two clicked together, you know, because it was like, you still harbor all this resentment against being conventional, typical, how they told you you were supposed to be, you know, which I'm not, you know, but a lot of it can come from there. And I've never, haven't seen that family since I was like 13 now, you know, so it's been a while. And why did they pop up like that, you know?
That's a lot of layers, and so beautiful that you're able to connect the dots and have that level of awareness to put it all together. And like it just feels like past, present, future layers of emotion all the way to higher ascension, like all packed into one, like aha when you
Like I couldn't miss that one.
I like too you're like that you're thinking in both dreams that you just shares like your empowerment of both breaking the mold of your own emotional experience and breaking the mold cross culturally of how things should be, and that you have that sense of self to say, hey, wait, I'm getting off of this cycle. And
Yeah, I used to look at them and be like, do I want a family like this who sits around the TV and goes, oh, that's funny, huh? You know. And I used to just look at them and be like, okay, like is this what it's supposed to be like? And I don't know, I just always wanted a little bit more for myself than your typical. I mean, some people want that. Some people want to get married, want the fairy tale life. And then I'm like, yeah, who knows how long we're gonna even have water on this planet, you know? But I try to look at everything, you know, not to spoil anybody's ideas of what they want, but to think, is this my own feeling, or am I getting this because conditioning told me this is what I wanted?
definitely, I definitely like the white picket fence. It's not the fence itself, it's the intention and attention behind it. And again, it goes back to that idea of programming and getting off the cycle. It's like beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I guess too, that's where another place our dreams can come in to kind of tell us what we really want and what is blocking our path to get what we really want. Whether it is that abundance, whether it is that job promotion, whether it is what is equivalent to your white picket fence, or how do you want your relationships to function. I really feel like your dreams can give you that insight and clear that residue that might be clouding your way to see yourself clearly and how you can take the next step.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to say one more thing. Let's see. Just about how the Buddhists always talk about how the dreamer can create like its own. I can't think of the saying that it has exactly, but it's about the dreamer being so empowered because they can literally dream up a world. And some people even say this world is dreamt up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like that in itself, kind of like, have you seen the Never Ending Story too? How just because it's an imagination, your imagination's running wild and it is a dream doesn't mean it's not real somewhere too, you know? So I think just having a dream and being a dreamer is also very empowering where we think that we may not have that kind of power in it.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's interesting you said that because I do my little journal readings, and I did one earlier this morning, and the ideas of dreams and imagination came up. And there's one movie scene that really sparked my attention as it relates to this, and it's the movie Hook with Robin Williams.
Oh yeah.
That dinner scene where all the Lost Boys are around the table and they're like dishing out nothing as it seems, and Robin Williams is like, where's the food? Like, what is this, And, Tink's like, come on, use your imagination. The boys are like pretending to eat, and they're like getting into it. I mean, they're really getting into it. And again, Robin Williams is not on board. And then eventually he comes on board and he flicks the spoon. And next thing you know, Rufio's got food
Right.
on his face. They've got this whole plate, all these plates of food, and then a food fight. And it takes what did it take? It took the leader to be on board with their imagination that helped the whole group, the collective. It took for everyone to believe for them to see it possible. And yeah, that can happen in this world. It can happen in the dreams. I guess how that also comes full circle is like manifesting to make those changes and to believe it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and for him, he had to get in touch with his like inner child too, for him to even remember how to imagine,
Yeah, and you see him go through that whole shift of being the leader of the Lost Boys and being playful as can be, chasing his shadow, right?
Yeah.
Thinking he needed that darkness, falling in love, and then having this place where he forgot who he was, and that spark of life within. What? Because traveling through or going through those cycles of, I need the white picket fence and then 2.5 children.
Yeah. And then it just keeps on going because you're in a constant rat race from there on.
Right. Yeah.
I need to keep up with my neighbors. I mean, some people really do that. I used to work for this man who anytime one of his friends would get a new car or any one time one of his friends would get a new phone, he wanted that exact same thing. And he'd be like, that was my job. I was his assistant. Hey, find me this new black credit card. Ooh, find me the new Bentley that's out. Like that was my job. And I was like, oh gosh, like you'll just get nowhere like that.
No.
And this is a person with a lot of money. He could do whatever he wanted. And he still was trying to, keep up in his own way.
Yeah. So I guess that brings us back to just going deeper. My gosh, going deeper either in the dreams, in your dialogue with spirit, or just deeper within yourself. So yeah, there's so many possibilities.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people like to, they say like when you're depressed, hey, keep busy. Keep busy. I actually don't believe to keep busy. I believe to say stay still, and staying still will help you sink deeper, whether it's in consciousness, unconsciousness, whether it's meditating. I feel like that's the only way to really hear what's actually being told to you, because if you're busy, drunk when you fall asleep, you're also not picking up all the messages. Like if you take sleeping pills at night, I know I used to take NyQuil at night, it kind of ruins up that pattern for you to be able to receive it.
Important to make those distinctions of how everything is part of, like, taking care of yourself makes all the difference in how you are receptive to what's happening on a deeper level, for sure.
Yeah.
So There's something else that came to mind while you were talking, and I already lost it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no worries. I'm just like kind of looking over here, seeing if there's any connections. Yeah, no, just I think we covered a lot. Yeah.
I think we did. And I love it when you can have a conversation that goes all over the place and it's all connected. It's beautiful. But yeah, the self-care is huge. And that was what I was thinking is that meditation, it's funny you talk about being busy. My mother had this thing, we weren't allowed to say we were bored. She was like, I'll find you something to do if you're bored. So then my brother and I learned to do like 400 things at once and always stay busy. So it's been a process of unraveling that, but also finding the avenue that is your meditation. And I don't think there's one way. I did have a teacher in my advanced Thai massage course, and he's like, his idea was that you had to pick one thing so you can go deeper. So otherwise you're going to dig all these little holes. But for me, for my self-care, I think it depends on the moment. Like I said, yesterday, I needed that long walk, like that long hike. I needed some trees. I needed
but
some
that's
dirt.
nature. Yeah, that's different. I think like even if you're alone walking in nature, you're still thinking and you're still processing, and nature just has its way of like being clearing and just like a reset.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's important to also say that like meditate, you have to find your like way of meditating. You have to find your way of resetting. You have to find your way of movement that works for you. Because I think, like you said, even with dreams, I think you and I were talking about this at a different time, that you have to find your way to make it work. You know, like I said, I would have said I never dreamed or I can't remember my dreams, but it takes time to develop that. It takes time to journal. It takes time to find the right way to meditate, the right way to unwind from your day, to not have to take the sleeping pills, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, even like my boyfriend, we recently watched this thing together. It was just a documentary on dreams, and he's one of those people who would never remember a dream. Now that he has that in his mind that he should remember a dream, or like it's good for you, he remembers his dreams all the time now. So sometimes it's just literally like having a conversation like we are, being able to pick it up, and then it's now in the consciousness where it's wanting to receive.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I'm happy for him and I'm happy for you. Because I feel like that opens up your dialogue too with him. I do enjoy, like my daughter and I, we talk about our dreams. Like it's just like, hi, how are you doing? It was just everyday conversation, whereas I didn't have that growing up and wouldn't have never expected that be part of my life, now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think our generations are just a little bit more spiritual than the generation before.
Yeah, we found two of us who are totally out of the box. I don't know.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, I feel like, I don't know, for my parents, I think it goes in waves, because I do look at astrology, so sometimes like if they were raised by the hippies, they kind of went the other way because they thought their parents were crazy. So then they got kind of school, all uptight. And then, they still have the old traditional ideas of like, oh, I'm supposed to cook and clean, like, like for a wife, and then, I mean, there are changes being done, but I think our next generation, like if I had kids, because I see kids, around the age I would have had a kid, they seem to not want as much freedom, I've noticed, as like my generation. I had a car before I could drive. I was sitting there like, I'm gonna get out of here. And I've just noticed just the difference, and it may be because we're easier, not we, because I don't have a kid, but like our age group is easier to talk to, easier to get along with, maybe a little bit more friends with them than, like your typical maybe parent of, I guess it would depend the age, but maybe like a 65, 60 or kind of range, I've noticed, is a little bit different. And it also depends on when you're born, too, because sometimes, you're so far from your parents' age. I've seen that too. If you're too close in age, you're like buddies and they don't respect you. And then sometimes when it's too far, you have like no connection with the parent, you know? And I'm going off on a tangent now, but
It's okay. It's okay.
I tend to do that.
I feel like those tangents when a story comes up or something, it's got to be out. It's got to help somebody somewhere.
But it does. I mean, I do think that our generation is like, if you look on Instagram right now, it's everything is about, you know, understanding our minds, learning how to get out of anxiety, learning how to love the self. These things weren't even popular 20 years ago, you know, so things are changing and moving.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing. I really feel like we're evolving, and just the idea that we're recognizing something like shame or recognizing something like self-love. Like, who would have thought to like take back your own power rather than giving it away, thinking that you're going to find love in return? No, honey, it doesn't work that way.
I know, all day it's like, oh, I just love this guy, I want to keep him. How do I do that? Stop obsessing about this person and try focusing on you. And they end up liking that. The other person ends up liking that you're creative, you're doing your own thing, and you're not relying. I mean, it's heavy responsibility to have all somebody's basically their feeling of good or bad relying on one person. You know, that's heavy to be the other person too, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So I think too that like coming back to the dreams and self-care, that like in those moments of like not sure where to go, if you're giving away your power in a connection, or I don't know about you having given readings, how there are people that like want to know, do I stay with this person? Do I not? Is this my twin flame? Is this my soulmate? Is this my karmic? You know, wanting those answers through the cards or for a reading, that perhaps the dream would be where to ask for that insight, but then you're going to get the truth if you ask for it.
Yeah. And I've noticed most of the time when people want readings like that, I'm actually not a reader who gives answers like that. I'm a reader who will have them just I'll question them to, because I believe, like, at least in my ritual classes, because I've taken ritual magic classes and stuff like that, is if you tell somebody something, we are creators, we will create that thing. So if it's something negative, we'll just create that, sabotage it, instead of like, if we're just empowered to ask questions or try to ask of ourselves the answers that'll come up. Because even if we tell somebody, hey, that guy's no good for you, you know, most of the time they're not going to listen anyway until they get their own feedback. So I think it's really important to just kind of switch it up and share the energy of what's going on, and then have them think about it.
Right. And the same thing can happen too. And I think it's important to also, you could use your dreams to look for some sort of identity, whether you are exploring the spectrum of sexuality, whether you're looking at the spectrum of gender, anything in between, getting those insights, because someone might, just like you were saying with like relationships, someone might be saying, this isn't a good idea. This is, you know, someone could also be talking you out of your own truth, and then asking for that empowerment in your dreams, through your dreams, to kind of solidify the steps you want to take to be who you want to be in your own light, whether it is on the spectrum or whether it is what traditions we're breaking now. Or
yeah, and I think it's also very important to recognize what kind of a dream it is. Like, is this an answer dream, or is this a dream that is a fear dream that's coming up? Because I can share one more dream, is that it's a reoccurrence of a dream. Is I was like, probably when I was 30, I got really traumatized by the guy that I saw. It took me 5 years to start dating again, and now I have somebody I'm dating. And sometimes in my dream, my boyfriend now will turn into my boyfriend back then. And that scares me. And so when I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, is he going to screw me over like that other guy? But now I'm seeing it as like, it's a fear of me getting close to this person after all the things that happened. And he doesn't look like him, but he's got like some similar features. So I think it's really easy for my dream to blend them. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, I thought I was the wrong person. I wake up and I'm like, thank God it's you. You know, but
Yeah, I think that's really huge what you said. Thanks for sharing, by the way, that the difference between fear, like heads up, clear this, and this is the direction you take. Because I think I've had trouble with that too, where I'm like, run right past the red flags. I don't even want to continue there, but yes.
yeah. Yeah.
And so have you found, like, as that reoccurs and you gain awareness, that you're able to manage that better? Or does it come through your dreams? Does it come through your waking days? Probably a little bit of both, yeah?
The dream shows up less and less. I think because that one was such a traumatizing experience of the last one, it's just kind of like a reoccurring fear. It's happened 3 times now. The last one was, you know, and they're always the same though. They're a little bit different, but mostly the same, where they merge into each other. And I'm like, ah. And I think that's just me, like, kind of understanding and getting through it. Still healing the past, you know, because part of me, you know, there's so much you could heal at one time. Sometimes I don't know if everything needs to be healed at once, because sometimes you get overwhelmed with just looking at one thing and going, hey, I have a problem. If you say I have a problem with this and just harp on the one thing, you can't sometimes get over that thing. So sometimes it's better just to work on all the good things that you're great at, you know, and just do that. And then that's kind of how I met Josh. I was just doing the things that I love, being creative. And then all of a sudden he just was like, I met him on the beach. I was like, oh, well, like I wasn't even looking at the time. You know, I had just said, I love being single. This is great. I love it. And then ding, you know, so.
That does not surprise me. It's like as soon as you heal and accept circumstance, it shifts. The cycle comes to completion once you are content.
Yeah.
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 I do think it's important to recognize that a recurring dream, in my opinion, and it means that something does need your attention. It is like that spotlight. If you had to tell someone, between whether it is signs from spirit or through your dreams, the difference between a fear coming up, or let's say kind of, what is the word that you used, a different word, like to differentiate between the two. Do you have any thoughts? If you could give that to someone, do you have any words for that?
Well, here's I explain this too when I do cards, is there, you know, because there's fear and there's intuition, and finding the fear and the intuition and where that layer is a murky spot, because sometimes it is a red flag and our intuition knows it, and it's also in our subconscious on a deeper level that knows it. And I can't say a clear way of defining it, but sometimes you are if you're motivated by fear, and you're doing certain things out of fear. Like for instance, I could say, like I used to really like this guy before I dated Josh, and I had for some reason, you know, you just blind it when you like somebody. I didn't realize he was a big drunk. He was drunk all the time, and I didn't put it together. And I was just like, oh, he's so sweet, and I kept getting like these weird messages in my dreams, and I was like, that's when I started working with, is this intuition or is this fear? Am I afraid to lose him and that I'm just acting out because of this? And it turned out in the end to be an intuition. And I feel like you just have to play with it, because there's no way you know, like you can read it out of a book. It has to become kind of like a learned and embedded sort of training within yourself. And it is kind of a murky place, but play around with it enough, and I think you can find the line.
Beautiful. And I think, and I'm no neurophysicist, but I feel like that, if I remember correctly, that the part of your brain that works with fear is different from the frontal lobe that sees the bigger picture clearly. So I think if there is any looping of thoughts or repetitive thought process, that you might be more in the I can't say it, the reptilian part of your brain, rather than
Right.
working, let's say, through the third eye or the frontal lobe, which allows you to see the bigger picture, to allows you to plan full force ahead. And I agree with you that it is this murky place. And
Yeah, because
yeah.
I think both can be being triggered at the same time when it is a fear of like an intuition telling you, like, hey, there's this thing going on. So it's like this, both are getting triggered. So it's kind of you kind of just have to play with that. I feel like it's like a wave. You gotta like just feel into, because yeah, and learning. I would say also learn to trust your intuition more, which is meaning trusting in life more. Most people who come to me have a lot of anxiety because they don't trust things are going to work out for them. They think at any time their life is going to be completely sabotaged. And when you're coming from that place, you are tending to make that happen because you're sabotaging your own good because of that repetitive thought of, oh my God, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose. Instead, it's like train your brain to be like, no, I'm going to attract these good things in my life, which is not another manifesting kind of tool. But, break it down small, a little bit at a time. And one of the first ways I started to learn how to stop the negative thinking, I don't know about you, was every time I had a negative thought, it was this book called The Power of the Unconscious. And they would tell you to repeat it. Think of that exact same thought and repeat it in a positive way. I don't know how you've done it or what, but I'm sure there's many ways to do it. But
For me, I think it's also recognizing it, like you said, and making that positive shift. But I think the biggest step for me has been mantra. So I studied and practiced Kundalini Yoga, which is a whole nother topic, especially now with the changes in the community and new awareness. So even though I still have those practices, I do not condone the behavior that's happened and what has come to light. But I have found mantra to be powerful. And it's almost like one day those cycles of thought weren't there. Whereas like it wasn't like this conscious thing where I'm like, I'm going to stop thinking like that, stop doing that, where you're constantly like fighting against the way that you think, like this Two of Swords. Oh, there you are again. It's still not in that cycle of dialogue. It was just like one day I was like, oh wow, it's different in here, meaning between my ears. And my teacher, when I took my teacher training, she even said, you're going to have a relationship with these mantras. And I didn't understand it. I wasn't opposed to it, but it's true. It's like, just like a stretch or a pose. I'd be like, I need that mantra today. I need that mantra. And I have to say, once a recent book came out with about the Kundalini Yoga community, one specific, it's not everyone, and I do apologize for those who have integrity and shining light. I stopped practicing because I was like, I didn't know what to do. It was definitely a tower moment for me because it took a number of years to start to embrace that practice, and then a number of years to teach it and even take on the name. I stopped chanting, and I was like, I was having a lot of restless thoughts that when I'm in a regular mantra practice, I don't have that. It's like it cuts right through like a knife without the effort. It's magical and it's beautiful because it's not in English. I mean, I respect each one. It's like a prayer to me, and the very practice of learning it and flowing with it. Again, it's just like blows right through it. I love it.
I've never tried that. For me, it's more like more meditation, I guess. And then some people believe in, which I guess could be like a mantra. Let me know if I'm on the wrong, if this is at all the same or if it's different. Like some people believe in affirmations. Do you believe in affirmations? Is mantra kind of like an affirmation, or the sound, energy, and the affirmation, I guess, kind of together?
Yeah, I definitely feel like think about it. Like if you talk to a dog, it doesn't matter what words come out of your mouth. It's that vibration and energy behind it. And I think it's one way to work with it.
I see. Okay.
And I'm also like, I don't really think there's a right and wrong way. Does it work for you? Is it working? then it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I feel like it's almost like we are conditioned or have been conditioned to think negative from being a baby. And so now it's like we gotta, I like to call it brainwash ourselves back to happiness.
No, I think you're so right. I like that.
I'm
I
just gonna
like
brainwash myself for a while.
It's so true because it's like that one thing that happens when you're a kid. And what do you remember? You remember things that have an emotional attachment to it. That's how it wires in your brain, which is why you normally remember all the bad things. You could have like 20 good things happen in a relationship, 20 good things happen in
But you
childhood, but
remember
there's
the one bad one.
that one thing.
Yeah.
And so then how do you get out of that? And these are some ways, and I'm so glad that we're talking about ways to get out of it. And I do like that you spoke to like a game and a matrix, and I feel like that's one way to kind of step out of the heaviness of it and take it a little bit lighter, to say, hey, how am I going to play my field right now? How am I going to dance in this journey? At what level am I going to dance, and where am I going to kind of focus my brain too?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
sweet.
what is real? You know what I think we should talk about too is I know you do a, which I'm really interested in too, and maybe some of our viewers would be interested. I know you do a past, is it a past, not a past life reading, but regression, past life regression.
So I did do the training, the past life regression hypnosis with Peter Woodbury at the Edgar Casey Airy. I think I got all that out right. And so, yes, the idea when I took that, I wasn't sure which direction I was going to go. I was looking at a training for Akashic Records readings and looking at this other training, and something just said, do this. And,
Yeah.
there's other more I could say. As far as like dreams go, I felt really embarrassed because a lot of people I know the work of Edgar Casey, and I hadn't a clue. I just had no clue. It was one night after my aunt had passed away. She came to me in a dream, and she said, school in Virginia. And I was like, okay, we still hadn't picked a school for my daughter, so she hadn't graduated high school yet. So the next morning, there I go, Google, find your answer, Google, of what school in Virginia you have to go to, or for her. And I came across this school and his work, which eventually landed me to this hypnosis training. But the idea that I get is that you go into the place that loops you in, that is at that other level, that is through the past life. It is your Six of Cups energy. And where can you kind of pinpoint that story, that history, and let you kind of work through it that way. But what I've found is in the sessions I've given that they aren't so much about going back into the past. So I have not promoted it much at all, because that isn't where the sessions I've given guided. I don't even think I give them. I just feel like you hold play.
Right. You hold space for them. Yeah.
Yeah. They haven't gone directly into a past life. It's been other, in my training, that's been the case. But since then, it's been other opportunities for growth and other experiences. But I definitely think there's value to it. And I'm not trying to negate the training or the practice itself. I'm just saying from my experiences, I'm finding that we're going a different route. You're going like, it's almost like, where do we go from now? What do you need in this moment to heal right now? And it's not necessarily,
it just
going
depends
back.
where you travel, right? Wherever your mind is traveling.
Yeah. And I'm sure that wasn't the answer that you
No.
wanted.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think that is, I just was interested in it because I haven't met that many people who do it. And the people I have met that do it, I don't really like that much, or I don't trust them. And because when you're under hypnosis, I feel like it's like you have to have the total trusting sort of, bond with the person. And I just know I would be interested in it. I have a one past life that I can remember decently that I'm afraid of water from. And so that's one of the things I'd like to get deeper into. And I know some people too. So I just wanted to see, do you do that on Zoom or Skype or anything, or?
Yeah, either one, Zoom or Skype. Those are probably the two that I prefer the most. Although some people seem to like FaceTime, which I will do. And yeah, very happy to support anyone on their journey through that. But I do feel, and I think it's important that you recognize your own past life experience. And I think it's important that you can also access it on your own. Not that I'm not happy to share that journey and bring you there, but your dreams can, your meditation can, and the more connections you make. I have found in my own meditation that you can bring yourself back to that place of saying, oh, this is why we're wired together right now.
I know. This one's crazy. I mean, this one, and it's actually odd what I've found out and what I've already know from it is it's actually, we're not that different from our past. And it's like, we're just almost the same. And in my dream, I'll just tell you, not my dream. What happened to me is I've always had this kind of memory from when I was 5. And finally I was like, mom, why am I afraid of water? What is this? This is like, okay, I was 30 by now. Okay. And I've asked her this a million times. All of a sudden, oh yeah, honey, I forgot to tell you, you drowned when you were a kid. So and I was like, I could have put this together like so much earlier if you would have just told me. And I remember just staring at our pool thinking like, I want to jump in that water. I want to just walk in that water. And she said that I did one day when I was a kid and I didn't know how to swim, and I just walked in thinking, I don't know what I was thinking, but the past life memory is about, I think it's Renaissance period. I think it could be either in Paris or in Florence because I can see buildings, I can see things, and I've returned to those places and I could feel the energy there. And I'm being drowned by one girl and one guy, and my hands are being tied behind my back with a rock, and they're drowning me in some kind of lake or a river or something like that. And I could literally see my body come out of myself and look at myself underwater. And so I can see all of that. And also I feel like what I was getting killed for was what I do now is I talk. I speak up, I say things, and it makes sense, that back then, everything was kind of more hush hush because of the Christianity being such sort of a stronghold, and things needing to be in a more of a secret kind of layer down there,
I find I've heard that from other people, those same sort of past life experiences, like being that red pill or being that witch in the past and burned at the stake, that they're creating the fear to be your authentic self to today in this lifetime. So,
yeah.
And as far as dreams as a kid, so wonderful that you finally got your answer from your parents. I used to actually keep a dream journal for my daughter. I didn't keep my own dream, but she woke up one day and she was young. She was like a toddler, and she was like, I was running from monkeys in the jungle. And I was like, okay, we gotta write this down. Of course, it's on a floppy disk right now, and we don't use those. So
floppy disk. Yeah, what's this? I looked at my mom's 8 tracks like that before.
Right. So do you have anything else? This has been such a gift to share this time and explore experiences and share.
Yeah, it's been fun. I liked it. I liked how this one flowed together. It was quite nice. I liked it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you. We'll definitely have to do it again. And I appreciate you.
And yeah, we're going to post this on YouTube. So do you think that people can, should we leave an email if people want to talk about, leaving dream experiences, or would you like to open something up like that for them?
Definitely. So email down in the description box. And I've also have a Dream Share group on Facebook. I need to revamp that. So it's the same practicum, and I keep adding to. I need to start from scratch and do some new videos in there, and definitely have. I don't know if you had any other journal techniques you wanted to share, but from receiving all my journal handouts that I have lots of Dream Share handouts. Like I should have.
She has lots of worksheets. She's a worksheet girl. But
Oh
it's
my
good.
gosh.
Some people really need that, you know, they need to put pieces together.
Well, thank you for helping me dismember my shame because I feel silly. Like I should have been like an elementary school teacher or something. I've got another handout I want to make.
Oh, no, not at all. It's good. I'm glad. No, I'm glad. Some people really need that. I mean, for me, like I have them on my notes, or I have. You could just actually record on your phone too, which I find to be faster. I was finding through my journal that I have. I kept it up for a week, and then it just doesn't work out for me. For me, I really like to repeat before I move. If you move, it's
Yeah.
know.
No, I think that's a good option to audio record, depending on how you process information, how you learn. Do you need to hear it? Do you need to see it? That's good. Good
Yeah.
option.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thank
Well,
you so much.
thank you. Have a blessed day. Appreciate
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Bye.
Okay.